Hey Charlie, nice job here. Try not to get too ambitious yet about the background stuff, just because we really want to focus on the caricature at first because it's really the main part of the assignment. The background should not be bigger than the caricature, and it should not dominate the caricature. So, yeah, I would just leave it alone for a while. I mean, this is actually a really good background, but the caricature is being dominated by the background. So, and I really wouldn't use a curved text at this point, or definitely not one of these kind of Western fonts either. So I would also suggest going to DaFont. I mean, this isn't, I mean, you don't have to do it right away, but it's really good to start really looking at some different kinds of fonts. I mean, under these, there's all these like, destroy fonts. 35 pages of these. Just really focus on legibility. So again, you can add these really easy, distorted. Um, these are pretty cool too. Just again, really work on the fact that they need to be. It's definitely legible. Readability over aesthetics. So I mean, even some of the just plain old sans serif fonts, they have some really nice ones here. So again, you can see there's tons and tons of fonts. So yeah, the idea is to really just have a look at these, and oh, these are typewriter ones. So that's another that's the thing to think about. So I'm going to turn this background off, and I'm just going to look closely at your caricature, and I'm also going to turn off this gradient background. So see all these little outlines? Those are fragments from your mask. So just go into the mask and just just get rid of them. I mean, you can see them here, right? And they show up when you put something behind them too, like that. Now you can see them a lot clearer. So the overall suggestion I have is about this one is it doesn't really feel like a garbage creature. It feels more like a robot or more like a toy. So you might want to just think it through. I mean, if you would really rather use all these kind of robotic parts, maybe you want to make it a toy. I'm not sure, but it just at this point it doesn't look like garbage dump. Everything looks really new on it. Even the arm, even though it's kind of a prosthetic kind of arm, it looks brand new. There's nothing about it that looks like it came from a dump. So I mean, I don't know. I don't have many. The garbage dump one is very challenging. I mean, seriously, I love when people do it, but it is a challenge to get things to. I mean, this one here. I mean, he struggled with all of this, and then once he got it done, he really had trouble with the background. It was really tough, but he actually really, he really came to the challenge. I mean, still, the can looks old, the leg does not, this does not. A lot of it doesn't look like it's from the dump. But see how he dealt again with the head, so-called head thing. And again, he changed the type. He totally lost points. But the font looks good. But his he struggled with the background the same as the background tends to dominate the caricature, but then he switched it to grayscale, and he ended up having a really nice piece. So just a few suggestions. Another thing that I usually do too is and it's, let me see, I don't know where your text is. I would suggest putting each word on a different layer too, then you have more control over it. But another thing I do is I like to put all the objects in a folder. So you just click this folder, and then you can move it around. So you want to kind of aim for something about, let's see, at least this big. And you could also change the orientation where it's 10 this way and 8 this way, but now you can see those mask fragments. Again, I mentioned this earlier, I would suggest a bit more variety. It's mostly all this metal stuff. That's really what it's becoming about, and that's just not part of the assignment. So you might want to look for some more objects. Again, the head just makes it kind of too easy. So, so I would I don't know if you viewed the last feedback or not, because I mentioned all this stuff before. A lot of students don't view it, so, and I can check, but I haven't lately. But still, it's kind of small though, so you might want to change the orientation and make it bigger as well. Let me see what the background. I don't know where oh, it's under here, huh? Yeah, see how, yeah. I mean, I like the background. I think the background works. It's just that, something's going to have to be, it's going to, in fact, it shouldn't be in this folder. It should be outside of it. So yeah, so it doesn't move with the caricature. So if there's some way that you can kind of deal with working with the background so it's not so strong, one thing would help is if you didn't have all the detailed in these leg forms, then it would stand out more. So again, any kind of object over another object, it's not viewable. Complicated object over complicated background also isn't viewable. And we're going to come into this later. A lot of things students do is they'll put the text right over something like that, and I can't see it very well. It doesn't stand out, especially this part. So just some things to think about moving forward. Okay, so let me know if you have any any questions or concerns. I'm on Hangouts all the time. You might want to work on this a little bit more before putting it in the Dropbox, because there will be deductions. Just for everything I've mentioned before and the stuff that I mentioned last week as well. But overall, I think you've got a really cool piece, and you definitely have some skills here with putting this stuff together. So yeah, I think you're really wanting to have all these robotic parts, and it just needs to. Again, it's just not what the client wants. Let's put it that way. So if you were working for a client, you have to give the client what they want, not what you want. So it's kind of a good lesson. It's a good project, really, to work on all these kinds of ideas. Okay,